Hey YouTube, and welcome back to the N54 project. Today we've got a very exciting mod to be installing. It's the Lux Angel Eyes, which is quite a popular mod for our older vehicles now. It completely changes how the car looks, and I highly recommend doing it yourself. So here we go. Okay, so I'm going to do my best at filming this and cutting away at the same time, but basically, as you can see, I've got the Lux H8 189 Angel Eyes. So this is actually the new model. It seems like most of the videos already on YouTube are about the 180. So I think these are even slightly more powerful. We'll see how they turn out on the car. But came in a really neat package. Got it express from New York, I believe. So I'm in Australia, obviously, and I was impressed with how quickly it came, especially with all the current lockdowns and everything happening throughout the world. So let's jump straight into it. So quite neat packaging, as you can see, well protected. And yep, this is it. So it's an LED kit. It comes with 2 ballasts, because I believe this is to help with the extra power required, and then the connectors to the current kit. Looking online, it seems to be a fairly simple install, hopefully, at least compared to the steering wheel, but I'll be talking you through that one shortly. So cheers.
How did we end up here in the corner looking like enemies? We used to be the team people talk about, what a chemistry. I can see it in your eyes. You don't want to talk anymore. I want to get so numb while we enemies.
Okay, so we're back in the basement. Apologies for any ambient noises. It's a little bit noisy down here today. But first things first, we need to get into the engine bay. Okay, so what we're looking for is basically the back of the headlight housing, which you can see here, that little silver clip. We need to get that out of the way, and we should be able to access the back of the lights. So this one's gonna be a little bit hard to film to not block the light, but basically you need to move this outwards over this little ridge here and then sideways. So it should be pretty simple in person. So as you can see, we just lifted it over and sideways. Basically, I think the next part is just trying to get the housing out without hitting anything. This right side, passenger side, is much easier than the left-hand side, so I'm not looking forward to that next one. But for now, let's go with the easy one. My apologies, there's actually a second clip on this far side. Okay, so that's got it undone. Now just wiggle it about, try and not break anything, basically. Okay, so after a whole heap of wiggling and moving about, we finally got it out. It's quite tricky. There seems to be only one sort of special angle. You can't really see it right now, but there was an extra light clip that we had to take out of the way. I'll try and get you some light on there. 1 second. Okay, so see that black clip there? This one here, that disconnected from this point here. So just remove that. It's just a squeeze either side clip, and that allowed a little bit extra room to then wiggle it out. So looking back here, the light that we will be replacing is this yellow one here. Basically, you just remove that gray clip from either side and then you rotate it outwards. I believe it is clockwise. So we'll just get onto that now. So here you can see the halogen bulb. This one light lights up both of the Angel Eyes, and we'll be replacing it with the LED version, which is much brighter. So for comparison, this is the new bulb. Obviously you can see all the LED lights around the edge. It seems a little bit larger. Hopefully we don't have any issues with fitment. And this is the cord that we'll be connecting to the, I think it's the gray plug that we disconnected just previously. The ballast, basically you just put it inside the housing somewhere. Some people have opted for double-sided tape. I don't have any right now, so we'll just put it inside, and then if we do encounter any rattling down the track, we'll take it back out and tape it all up. So unfortunately I did double click record and we didn't film it going in, but basically the trick is you need to remove the red rubber seal before inserting your new bulb, as the new bulb already has a seal on it. So from here, the step is to basically just attach this gray cord to our new cord, and we're good to go. Just tuck everything in where you can, because we now need to fit back the housing. This was quite tricky going in. I'm expecting it to be quite tricky going back on. Okay, we've done it. So not sure if you can see, but so clips are back on, the housing is back in place. The trick is the bottom side of it. Sorry for flipping this around everywhere. But there's two little, don't know if you can see, but there's two little teeth that need to go in first, down there basically. You need to insert them in first, but it is quite a tight fit, so you sort of have to force it through this tiny gap. Once they're in, it's just so much easier to get it back in. So that's the trick for this one. Now we're just going to reconnect up this wire we unplugged, and we'll give it a test. We have success. So as you can see, it's working. My apologies guys, I've had to skip over a section. We've basically just removed, I think it's called the power steering, I don't know, holder. But they're basically these two little tube things. We're completely blocking the back end. So we've taken them out. You need a 10mm and a 14mm socket, and you've got to be a bit strategic about the order that you take things out. I didn't film just because it was so tight and squeezy, and to be honest, I was stressing a little bit. So I've taken it out. It's given us a lot more room, but I'm still worried about this little section here. It's blocking. I'm hoping I can sort of wiggle it around out there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have a go and update you afterwards. So hold tight. So good news, guys. The left side, driver's side housing is removed. We just basically followed the same procedure as the other side. Remove that little clip down here. So this one, which you can see dangling. You got to take off the two metal clips. So you can see one just on the left side over there, and then the other one is here. So for this side, you've got to like lean this section out. It does have a little bit of give, and it's enough to get it out. And then again, when you're pulling the housing out, you need to lean this out to get the right side out, and then just wiggle it out. So it's quite difficult. So having to remove the power steering section, I would call this a pretty intermediate task. You know, some of the sections were super tight, and yeah, you need some patience. So just beware if you're trying this yourself at home. Okay, first step is putting back the bracket. So I'm just going to remember that one of these is upside down. So this one is upside down, this one is the other way up. The tricky part is, I'm sure you can see it, that screw, and especially that screw down there, really hard to access. So what I need to do is get that back one done with this one out, with this one off, and then I'll do the second one down there, and then I reattach the actual canisters or whatever they are. Okay, so now I've just, as I said, loosened this canister type thing. I've reached down and hand tightened the bolt at the back, as well as the bolt at the front. Now I will tighten it up with the, I think it's the 10mm wrench. Okay, so those two are now tightened. I've just been using this little ratchet with a small extension. So something to note, if you've got small hands, this is going to be much easier for you. I've got giant hands, and reaching it down into these tiny gaps has been an absolute mission. So now onto reattaching the canisters These ones should be pretty simple. As long as I can reach this one underneath, there's a screw just under that. I'm just gonna add a bolt on. So we'll be back soon. Okay, so we have screwed both of those back in. I just used an extension to get the bottom one, as it's a little bit tricky to access, but there's enough room for a regular sized extension. And then for this side, you just take the extension off as it's a little bit too long. And that's pretty much everything back in place. So look, it was more difficult than we expected, but overall I'd give this a 6.5 out of 10. So give it a go yourself, and hopefully those instructions helped.
Wanna get out of here. I find it so hard to breathe. 'Cause when you get too close, I lose my way and I freeze. I wish you knew what power you have over me. But now it's so hard to breathe. Just get me out of here. Just get me out of here. I just wanna get out of here. I find it so hard to breathe. 'Cause when you get too close, I lose my way and I freeze. I wish you knew what power you have over me. But now it's so hard to breathe. Just get me out of here.
Okay, cool. So that pretty much wraps up the Lux Angel Eye H8186 LED bulb installation. As I mentioned, it was a little bit trickier than I thought it would be originally, but that's why I'm doing these videos. So I've watched all of the videos that are already out there and have just given this a go myself, installing it. And every time that I try and install something, I find it is much harder than they make it out. So I'm showing you the real way to do it, all the nitty gritty. Not always perfect, but as an everyday mechanic, I'm hopefully giving some insight and making your lives easier. For those of you that are interested in buying some of the bulbs yourself, I'll have a link in the description below. I do highly recommend these if you do have standard bulbs. They're not game changing in terms of comparing to the current day BMWs. Those LEDs are much stronger and more precise. But for these standard LEDs, they're so much better than the old halogen ones. I do believe there is some options with coding to increase the brightness, so I'll be looking at that down the track. So if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe. It's really appreciated. And again, thank you for watching. I really appreciate everyone that watches these videos and gives me support. If you have any questions or want to give me some advice, feedback, anything, drop a comment below and I'll make sure to get back to you. So until next time, cheers.